The first thing that we're doing, if we're going to open up ProPresenter and use it, the first thing that we've got to do is tell ProPresenter what kind of screen outputs we want to create, right? And this is also where if you happen to turn on ProPresenter on Sunday morning and all of a sudden freak out because there's nothing going to the screens, the first place to check is my screen configuration. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. So we're going to go, this is, let's get out of full screen so this stays, the bar stays up here. So we're going to go up here in the menu bar to screens, come down here to configure screens. This is where we are telling ProPresenter how many different places I want to send video, what size I want the video to be, and what kind of information I'm going to send to it, okay? So to start with, we know that we want a main audience screen. That's going to be our main projectors, right? So I'm going to go ahead and they've already made one for us. They've got a screen output that is 1920 by 1080, so it's a high def output, all right? And I'm going to go ahead and right click on that and name it. I'm just going to name it main projectors, okay? And we also then know that we have they show these as audience displays and stage displays. So basically an audience display is anything that's the public is going to see. And a stage display is something that only the people on stage are going to see, right? So we know that we also have one stage screen because we've got a projector on the back wall. All right, so we're going to rename this. We're just going to call this confidence monitor. I'm just going to abbreviate that. Okay, and this is showing it as a 1280 by 720 output, but we actually want that to be a 1920 by 1080, same as this. So while I have this highlighted, I come down here into my information down here, and I'm going to, basically I'm going to create a placeholder. We could send it to one of these. Actually, let's just go ahead and send it to one of these. Even though there's no actual physical connections to this, it won't actually go anywhere, but I'm just going to go ahead and set it up. So we're going to say, let's do this one first. We're going to say that main projectors is going to go to deck link quad, that's this guy, 1. I've got 8 available. I'm going to send it out to 1. And I've got all these different resolutions I could use. I'm going to go 1080p 30 frames. So that's a 1080p resolution, that's 1920 by 1080, 30 frames per second. That's a nice high def feed. Then down here on the confidence monitor, I'm going to send it to deck link quad number 2, also 1080p 30. Okay, that's now our main 2 outputs. Here is where also you could turn the outputs on and off. Now since obviously we can't see it since there's nothing connected to it, but I can turn them off here and on here, or I can go up here to this little guy that stays permanently in this toolbar, and I can turn them from red to green and turn them on here. So if you fire up ProPresenter on a Sunday morning, nothing's going to the screens. All right, first thing to check is, are these guys turned on? Okay, that's number 1. Still nothing's happening. Next thing to check would be coming back here to your screen configuration and making sure, if I highlight this, that this still says deck link quad 1 as my source. Every now and then, you know, it's a computer software, every now and then it may lose that setting, or somebody had some problem on Wednesday night, didn't know what they were doing, and just started clicking around and disconnected your video, right? All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we want to create another output that's going to be just for the stream, right? Because we might want to, well, not might want to, we will want to have a different type of video going to the streaming production than what's going to the main screens, right? Because, for example, we might have, on the main screens, we're going to primarily, I think we're going to primarily have a background with lyrics, right? We're not necessarily going to put live video up on the screens most of the time. On the streaming video output, we will definitely want to have, at times, we'll want to have live video with the lyrics of the songs at the bottom when the worship team is singing, instead of just a picture of the ProPresenter background, right? So I have to create a separate output that I can control and change versus what's on the main screens. So I hit this little plus symbol right here. I'm going to make a new output. I'm going to put this on deck link 3. All right, and we're going to call this stream. All right, and then let's just say I'm going to want to do a feed out to the foyer TVs. So we've got a TV in the foyer, we've got a TV in the hallway by the offices, we've got a TV in the nursery, and then we'll have one in the side stage room. So I'm going to want to send something to that may be different from what I'm doing inside. So for example,
and also the social hall.
Social hall, right? We got the projector in the social hall. Okay. So for right now, let's create another output, and we're going to call this one. We'll just call this auxiliary screens for now. We may break that down further and make one that's foyer and one that's social hall and whatever. But for the sake of tonight, we're just going to do that. All right. So already, like just what we're doing right here, Representative 6 wouldn't. I mean, Representative 6 would just throw up his hands and give up if we were trying to do all this, right? So that's where we actually create those. Now, if I get confused and I'm sitting there in the sanctuary and I'm trying to figure out, make sure I've got these sending to the right places, I can hit this little identify screens button right here. And what it will do is it will actually put on my main outputs, it'll actually put, okay, that's main projectors. So if I see main projectors as a title that showed up on my main screens, okay, it's going to the right place, right? I can go over here and check other outputs too. Stream, so that says it's correct. It's showing me that it's the stream feed, the aux screens feed, and here's the confidence monitor. It's getting the confidence monitor feed, okay? So that's a way for me to verify that the right places, the right screens are going to the right places. Because sometimes they're going to be showing the same things, and then this sometimes can be confusing. All right. So here too are some other things that you may want to would not delve into tonight, but you can do things like, for example, I can corner pin the video. So if for some reason, I'll give you an example of this. For a long time, I was with a portable church and we met in a theater, and we used the theater's projector to put our stuff on the screen. And it was a weird resolution that didn't match anything that we needed to do, right? So what we ended up doing was we ended up sending a regular sized video image to the screens, and then we used this corner pinning, and we actually then went in looking at the movie theater screen, and we actually were able to like bring in the corners of the video to where it fit the screen properly. And that's something that you can do right in here if you have a weird screen that you're trying to fit, okay? Alpha key, we'll actually end up using this. Alpha key is a particular type of output. What it does is it sends a, it's a 2-channel video signal that it sends specifically to the video switcher in the production room. Doesn't go to a screen, it goes to the video switcher. And the only information it has on it is it has the lyric, like the slide information. It has that lyric, and it has basically like the lyric and a keyed out background. So you can basically take that alpha key and place it over top of video for your titling purposes. And it's a much cleaner, it's a kind of the correct way of putting titling on video. So when we actually do your full setup over there and we're sending to the video production room, we will send them an alpha key output. It'll be up here as another output, and it will be basically just titles. It'll go to the switcher, and it'll let them within the switcher, they actually have buttons that they can turn that on and off and put it over top of the program feed out of the switcher, to use for their titling. So that's what that alpha key is for.